Good afternoon, everyone. Respected speaker of the day, Mr. Rahul Jain, Head HR at Tractors and Farm Equipment Limited. Respected Dean Sir, Dr. Tapan Kumar Nayak, Dr. Vatika Chaturvedi, and Faculty Coordinator. Mr. Rahul Jain is HR professional with 20 years of post-qualification experience with merit of working with reputed organization in Asia Pacific region based at Singapore and India with diversified industry segment. He is social media enthusiast, ranked among top 50 HR on Twitter. He is associate certified coach, trained by Ericsson International with practical coaching experience of more than 100 years of partnering with people to help optimize potential and positively impact lives. He is the recipient of the Great Managers Award 2018 by People Business and ET Now. He has worked with Philips India, Coca-Cola, Cargill India, Dainik Bhaskar, etc. He has been an in-house certified trainer on various subjects, including performance management skills, interview skills, talent management, etc. We welcome you, sir, and we really look forward for your words of wisdom on employee productivity and motivation. Why are they so important?
Hello, good afternoon, everyone. And first of all, thanks to Dr. Vartika for organizing, this session and reaching out to me for an interactive discussion with all of you. And thanks to Dr. Tapan. Uh, I look forward to, meet him next time whenever I'm there at your campus. And it's a pleasure that, I have interacted with Jaipuria Institute and I visited, your institute earlier as well. And today, look, I am looking forward to have a very interactive, discussion. So please feel free to, raise your hand, ask question, and it's a very interesting, topic, and would love to hear, your views as well. It will be a mutual learning. So I can, of course, share, my experience, my understanding on the subject, but at the same time, I would love to listen to your views as well. So the topic is employee productivity and motivation, and why it is so important in the organization. So when I divide it into certain segments, so first of all, the productivity itself, productivity at individual level, organization level, motivation at work, and importance to the organization. And then there was one more point which was mentioned in the invite is what makes a good employee. So that's also a pretty interesting, point of discussion. So as a student, I'm sure you must be reading, various definitions in your textbooks. And theoretically, when we look at, employee productivity or workforce productivity, so it is always considered as the amount of work, amount of output given by an individual, or the services which are offered or produced in a given point of time, or in a certain time set. So that is considered as productivity. And then there are formulas which are available, which organizations they use to measure the productivity. And typically these measures are very economical measures, and they are always in terms of numbers. So first and foremost, the productivity is of course measured in terms of output or the result. That is one. Number two, it is also measured in monetary terms, a price term or a monetary term. So typically in an industry, in a manufacturing setup or any organization, uh, the top management or anyone who's responsible for producing, or someone who's at a managerial level will be always looking at, always tracking things in numbers. So for example, how many machines are produced in a month, how many machines are, for example, produced say per employee in a month? And is it in comparison to previous year, previous month, or previous quarter? Is it going down? Is it going up? Typically, how much cost we have incurred to produce certain goods. So suppose if 100 goods are produced at a cost of say rupees 500 per employee, are we improving it? Are we improving the cost? Can we produce more number of goods? Can we produce more number of items at the same cost or a lesser cost? Then if it is a sales organization, of course they will be looking at the sales number per employee, how much item or goods they are selling actually per employee in a given point of time, in a month or a year or a quarter. And then there is always a comparison that are we improving? Are we improving when we look at quarter on quarter comparison, or year on year comparison, or month on month comparison in the current year versus previous year? And if our cost is going down, because if your cost is going down, cost of production is going down, uh, you must be producing more number of items with the same set of resources deployed. So in that sense, actually the productivity will be going up in the price term. And if the number of items are being produced more in a same amount of time, same given time, of course people say that the productivity is going up. And uh, all organizations, uh, be it a service organization or a manufacturing organization, they look for productivity measures. So somebody who's in a service organization will look for a turnaround time, will look for response time, will look for customer satisfaction, uh, to measure that, okay, how are we serving people, how are we responding them, how quickly we resolve the issues. And they consider it to be a measure of success or measure of productivity. So there are factors actually which determine the productivity in an organization. And so typically the kind of manpower efforts which are put in by the people, be it a white collar or a blue collar employee, it determines the productivity. The quality of work also determines the productivity, because at times it is not the numbers but the qualitative job which is there. In terms of services, are we improving, are we creating better response to our customer? So that's another measure of or a factor which determines productivity. uh, there are people who are in a creative job. So what kind of creative solutions they have deployed or they have introduced to their customer, how many number of creative ideas they have come up with, that can also be a measure of productivity. If the company has come up with product innovation and more number of product innovation, more number of patents or technical innovations, it is considered that okay, they're being more productive. So this productivity is also determined, or it is impacted, it is uh, decided by certain other measures, certain other supporting elements in an organization. So there are elements which impact productivity at workplace. So example, like the style of management, the way things are being managed at any organization. What is the approach? How much is the automation which is being done? Is the productivity coming from automation? Is it coming from change of a method? Is it coming from certain engineering and re-engineering at workplace? Is this productivity coming from collaboration, better coordination? Is this productivity coming from engagement? Are there employees who are motivated, engaged, and then they are being able to produce more in a given time period. So from where it is coming from. So those are some of the factors which are also considered looking at the productivity. Then there are certain physical factors surrounding elements which are there, which determines productivity and you can say individual performance or individual productivity. So they can be physical, organic reasons, location specific, technical factors, organizational, cultural belief system. They also determine the productivity. What kind of attitude individuals are bringing in, what kind of motivation level they have, what kind of behavior they have at workplace. This also determine productivity at workplace. uh, how organization is rewarding the good work, how effective the managers are, how well they are managing, directing, uh, guiding their team members, how well they are determining the targets, uh, how are they reviewing it, and what are the organizational practices. They also decide the productivity. So, for example, like the way we recruit, are we hiring, the right kind of people? Are we hiring tough? Are we really stringent with our selection process? Are we bringing in, the kind of people who will be useful to the organization? Uh, it's just a practice. It may look like a practice, but ultimately it's going to result in higher productivity at workplace. Are we training, people right? Right kind of training is given to, right kind of people, or the training is given completely as per training need identification. Is the communication in the organization pretty open? Are we making it very clear to the employees what is expected out of them, and are we listening to their grievances? Are we proactively dealing with their issues? Again, it's a factor which will impact productivity. If there is a need, are we giving feedback at the right time? And feedback is to be given in a very constructive manner. Are we doing it already? And are there measures, are there practices which are introduced at workplace which enhances productivity? Example, for example, if there is a variable pay, performance pay, or incentive which is there, which motivates actually employees to perform better, deliver more. So have we deployed some such practices which actually motivates employees to come up with greater productivity? So these are some of the factors which determine the productivity. Then there are certain factors, elements uh, which are beyond control of an organization, and uh, those also impact the productivity. For example, there is social, political, legal scenario which is there in which we operate. There are conditions which is say, for example, beyond our control. For example, the COVID situation which is there, uh, it impacted industries, and there were certain organizations, they worked very well during this pandemic time, but it impacted some of the other organizations. There can be some economic factor which is there. Then there is availability of employable manpower in that particular industry segment or a job segment. Then there are certain barriers for certain industry uh, in certain geographies, so that can also determine, decide productivity uh, of an organization. So here I am taking a pause just to hear views from others, that what's your understanding about employee productivity? How do you understand, how do you define it?
So I'll start the question. Like, we have interns, so all these students will be joining as interns. Yes. So how will you measure, or do we measure the work and productivity of interns? Because sometimes it is being said, that it is sometimes like it's being said that it's just a matter of, you know, that interns are like bas kaam karo, SIP karo, and you go. So that type of work. So that is their productivity, is their work also so very serious? This is one question I have from their point of view. And then we are open to, so they can write the question in the chat box. I'll take it up then.
Sure. Okay, so any organization, if they are engaging, you know, interns with a serious intention to completely, you know, utilize the resource, then they will, you know, come up with a clear, you know, topic or a subject or a project. Of course, it will be a time bound as well. That okay, this is the duration of a project, and how much time, you know, the person is required to spend at workplace, and then if the clear outcome is also defined for that particular project, so I'll say productivity can be, you know, measured. How well the student has, you know, taken up this particular project, and how well, you know, he or she has delivered actually to the organization. And this delivery can be in terms of, you know, qualitative recommendation, the kind of, you know, analysis which is being done, kind of, you know, data gathering which is being done for the project, and how useful, you know, that project is for the organization. I will say if it is, you know, serving the purpose of the organization, also if this is giving, you know, sufficient learning to the student on the topic, I will consider it to be a, you know, productive internship project.
Absolutely correct. So there's always this question goes in the mind of interns, you know, that how productive are we? Are we not productive? Are we just with their life? Okay, Sanskar has a question. How employee motivation will help in reduce staff turnover, like cost or hiring cost?
Sure. It's a very very good actually question, I must say. That you know, productivity is, of course, it gets impacted with new manpower in at workplace. So uh, whenever there is, you know, employee turnover, or if the attrition rate is high and the new resources are coming on board, they take, you know, at least 3 to 6 months of a time to, you know, settle down. They start understanding, you know, organization. They start understanding, you know, the expectation. They may have, you know, the written KRA from the day one, but actual delivery, you know, starts taking place, say, after 3 months to 6 months kind of a time. So that's the time which is actually gets lost when there is a new resource which comes on board. You know, higher you go, the learning time on the job can be short for an individual. But if a resource is, you know, relatively less experience, I will say, they will take, you know, more time to understand, you know, the organization, the job expectation, and what to deliver. So, and of course, this will vary from individual to individual as well, because there are certain people who will be very quick to learn. They'll be very quick to, you know, pick up in an organization. Some will be, you know, taking more time than the others. So, of course, employee turnover, you know, it impacts, you know, productivity. And, you know, when we look at, say, attrition, we know that the work gets impacted, and then there is lots of, you know, opportunity loss for an organization if there is an attrition. If your productive employee, you know, leaves the organization, it's a loss to an organization. So
actually
of course,
a loss to the
organizations are,
organization, or we can say that people can be replaced. How does it work?
yeah, people are replaceable. You know, all of us, we are replaceable, and
Correct.
organizations, you know, they still exist if even if they're, you know, the key resource is not there, organizations will still survive, but their pace can be impacted, their delivery can be impacted. And then the role of, you know, HR comes into picture, that how quick you know, bring another resource on board, and how you decide that okay, this person will be a right fit who will deliver, you know, as per the expectation, and then, you know, and will be quickly on board, quickly start delivering, will settle down, you know, fast in an organization. So that's, you know, that's where role of HR comes into picture.
Sure. I think we are moving. Shiny
So,
has a
the
question.
question-
Dr. Vartika,
Yeah.
if you can pardon me, I know there are many questions lined up
Yeah,
for
I know. I was just
Rahul.
taking up Shiny's question. Yeah.
Yeah, there are many questions lined up for Rahul, but before you take up these questions, I have a very fundamental, simple question for. It's not a question. You should not take it as a question. I was listening to you. You can take it as my doubt. You know, I mean, does the organizational discipline, motivation, and the productivity, do they really correlate with each other?
Okay. So, Dr. Tapan, you're talking about the discipline at workplace, right?
Yes. Yes.
Does this impact productivity?
Yeah.
And I will say definitely discipline is one element which impacts the productivity. And I'm sharing a very practical example or my real life experience. And I'm taking an example from my earlier organization Philips, where we were working 24/7, and there was additionally there was a general shift which was there, so 4 shifts in a day. And this plant was situated outside.
Mm-hmm.
And let me tell you, we calculated the time actually, the moment the transport bus will arrive, the factory gate. From there, how much time a person takes to reach to his workstation. So we actually planned the entire bus route, bus stoppage, everything basis that okay, the person should get down at this time, go to the punching machine, get inside the plant, and then start working. So how much time this will take? So even minute possible things are measured in an organization so that people are disciplined, they are on time. If someone is relieving someone, another person who's coming in to the new shift, how much time they will require to give a handover or a takeover.
Right.
And then
Right.
discipline needs to be ensured on the shop floor, that we are having this much of a sufficient time where a handover takeover is taking place. New employee is walking into the shift, the earlier employee is going out. And so all these things are very well calculated. And we even we look at that, okay, if there is a lunch time and 30 minutes is a time, so it should be adhered with. If the tea break is for say 5 to 10 minutes, it should be say within 10 minutes. And all these things are minutely planned so that the productivity is intact in an organization. And besides the blue collar productivity, there is also productivity measure for white collar employees as well. So we carry out certain exercises which is called say white collar productivity analysis. And this I'm sharing an example of my current organization only, where we look at the kind of task an individual is performing, how much time this person is required to devote on a daily basis, weekly basis, monthly basis, or annual basis. And when we plot it, all this information, we come out that okay, what is the utilization of this resource in a given year? And we factor into number of working days, the kind of leave this person is going to take. So we consider all those elements, and then we do the plotting. And we need to ensure that people who are even they're in a white collar job, they are 100% utilized. So discipline, when we put this discipline at workplace, be it a discipline of having a productive meeting, or having a meaningful discussion when it comes to say performance review. All these are I'll say disciplines. So when we ensure these practices, employees they are surely very productive on the job. There's one more example I would share. So there is a leader standard work. There's a template or a practice which I have experienced in one of my organization, where as a leader, where our time should be spent it was recorded actually on a month-on-month basis. And for example, as an HR head, I am supposed to spend, say, 30 minutes of your time with my team members on a daily basis, reviewing, their ongoing or a day-to-day task. Am I doing it or not? So I need to, plot it in my calendar. I need to say yes or no, whether I have done it today or not, so that at the end of the month, it should be like that. Okay, I was supposed to do this, and I have done this. So if I'm doing it, of course, it's going to contribute to my team and the work performance. Example, like if I am supposed to spend, say, 1 hour kind of a time on blue collar employees related issues, or for that matter, say, dealing with union, for example, am I doing it or not? So I need to record. I need to record and submit. So then there are organizations which go to the next step of activity based costing. So for example,
Right.
if I am hired for a training role, how much time I am spending on training only? Am I spending time which is other than the training? So I need to plot all my activities, and company will put my cost into it, and they will see that, okay, this resource is hired for this particular activity, and this much is the cost we are incurring. Are we getting the desired outcome?
Right.
Or if this person is spending time somewhere else. So all this discipline, I will say, discipline is not only in terms of time, but these practices as well, best practices
Absolutely.
as well. So
Absolutely.
when we introduce
Right.
yeah, right.
Thank you.
Okay, I can take up other questions.
Yeah, please.
Sure,
Over to you,
sure,
Martika.
sure.
Yeah.
Ji sir. Empathy can be proven as a factor of motivating an employee, but in a result-oriented and profit-oriented organization, is it possible, Anirudh?
Sorry.
So empathy can be proven as a factor of motivation, but in a result-oriented and profit-oriented organization, is it possible?
Okay, right. Empathy is, this is very much possible actually. To even if the organization is completely result-oriented, completely focus on end result only.
So most of the organizations, I think, like private organizations are profit-making organizations. They're not working in NGOs.
Right. Okay.
So I think like empathy as a part of HR, like I'm not sure about Anirudh. So you need to clear up your question. However, like Rahul, if you can brief, like I am. Okay. So till then we can take one question which is very clear. Shiny has a question. So there are times when an employee or an intern is often surrounded by same type of work, which become monotonous or tedious. So how can we remedy that student level? So I'm sure you are best at it. The HR who's taking care of a factory unit is best at it.
Right.
Yeah.
So what's the question? Like, if you can help me understand it better.
So which maybe become monotonous or tedious. So how can we remedy at the student level, doing the same work every day?
Okay. It looks like to be same work, but all the days are pretty different. For example, in HR, I may be doing hiring. I'll be interviewing people day in, day out, but experience with each of the candidate, each of the resources very different. Each of the hiring managers is also very, very different. So looks like I am doing the same activity, but there's something new which is always there at the workplace.
Okay. Now, how can we improve employee motivation? This is number of types, I think. But how do you do that at the manufacturing unit, Rahul? Like your blue collar workers, because as related to the next like the past question what she asked, because they have to do the entire same work, same every day. So how do you keep them motivated?
Right. So there are, various initiatives, practices which we keep on, coming up, introducing. There can be, a competition amongst the team. There can be, concepts like, self-directed work team, which are there, where you, assign the same team, in the same team, members, different responsibilities, so that their job is not monotonous. There is a rotation which is possible in the same, production shop floor, so that there is multi-skilling for the worker. And you know there are, programs which we run for blue collar employees as well, for their motivation, for their behavioral, development. So it's not at all, although they may be doing, the same task which looks very repetitive, but then they are also given, targets which are progressive in nature. So they need to, come up with productive measures at their workstation. They need to also increase, the say for example line efficiency. They also need to focus on, wastage reduction. They also need to come up with kaizens. So there are various things which we as an organization, we keep on doing, introducing, so that there's never, a dull moment for them. We keep them motivated by rewarding and recognizing as well. We ask them to, come up and present about their work. So there are various things which keeps on happening on a daily basis. And whenever there is a say lean period in production, we engage them with various things like, sports activities, sports competition. They play with, uh, other departments, team members or employees. So there is lots of newness which is there for them as well.
Correct. So should we take questions, or should you continue with the topic which you were taking? Maybe we can take few more questions afterward when you complete.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah,
Correct.
correct.
Yeah, sure. So I'll continue with my points. So I was talking about, this topic, productivity, and then of course motivation is one particular element which is there. So first of all, organizations, they measure the motivation level of employees through engagement surveys. And typically these engagement surveys, they come up with results which tells an organization that how long, people wants to work with a particular organization, how willing, they are to contribute at the workplace, how positive they are when it comes to, talking about an organization. Are they advocate of the organization? So there are questions which gets us the response about, motivation level of the workforce. And organizations, conduct these engagement survey to measure the motivation level almost on a frequency of 1.5 year to 2 years kind of a time. And this duration is there because we need to, after the survey results, we need to go back to employees, share the results, come up with, action plans so that we can improve the low score areas. So that is one. And number two, there are, certain disruptors which are there at workplace. So organizations, put some restrictions as well at times, so that, the productivity doesn't get killed at workplace. For example, like say social media websites are, say, blocked on the laptops or system. So so that, people are not lost, or employees, they are not lost on, social media. So games, say online games and all, there are certain websites, company will block, so that people are not busy playing games only online. And then,
I hope our HR is not listening to what you are saying now. तो शांति जी इतना पार्ट रिकॉर्डिंग में से काट दीजिएगा. Okay.
So practically, I'm telling you. So for example, when I moved to this organization, so I asked my IT team that please, give me access to LinkedIn, because LinkedIn is something which is,
correct,
of course, used by HR professional, even for hiring.
Yeah, correct.
Besides, networking. So that's when I came to know that, okay, LinkedIn as an website is normally, blocked in the company. Twitter is blocked, Facebook is blocked. So, okay, understandable. But then organization put all those disruptors actually away from employees. And then of course managers, they also need to keep a check on their employees that okay, if someone is slipping into a comfort zone, if a person is spending has spent sufficient time in a role, maybe the person is in a complete comfort zone, if there can be a role change, so that productivity is not uh, killed that
So
point of time.
because I teach HR and you practice HR. So I, as HR, a person who's teaching, I don't believe in all these things like keeping a check or a track on maybe employees. They can have number of ways to access it. I think we can So what's your approach? So they are still banned when you have joined us?
See, there are ways, of course, say for example, if I have to access anything, I can access on my
Correct,
own mobile.
phones,
I can do that. But of course, from organization side, there can be, certain restrictions. Of course, people should not be wasting, organization time and resources and
Agreed.
device on certain things. For
Hmm.
example, of course, for employees, the job sites are, blocked.
Blocked.
They cannot access, job sites. But of course, HR has access because we need to source,
Correct.
through them. So there are certain, such restrictions which is there. And then at times there are organizations or there are managers who are seeking perfection. So then there are people who spend too much of time doing back and forth work, which can be a productivity killer, I must say. I've of course worked with some of the managers who will make various changes in the same presentation, same concept. This is not coming up the way I want, and every time they will come up with new idea. It can be a time waste, and it can be a loss of productivity for that particular person. So one needs to be watchful where the time is going or spending actually. There are people who are over analyzing everything and anything. It can be again a productivity killer. And so one needs to be actually watchful in the organization. And let me tell you, there are certain good practices, good habits actually of productive people at workplace. So people who are before they start their day, they always plan. They have a diary. They put down their to-do list. On a daily basis, they review their to-do list. That okay, I was supposed to do this these things today. Have I done that? How many items I'm carrying forward, and am I doing one thing at a time? So if of course, we are expected to be on top of various things, but at the same time we need to focus on one particular thing so that we complete it in a proper manner at any given point of time. So we need to prioritize that okay, what needs to be done at what time. And so which means as a productive people, we need to plan, prioritize, and do one thing at a time, and keep on reviewing it on a daily basis. Are there things which can be automated? Are there things which can be delegated? How much I need to get involved into my team members work. So there should not be a duplicacy that my team member is also doing the same work and I am also doing the same work. Am I stepping into my my manager's shoes, my seniors shoes, something which is supposed to be done by my seniors and I am doing it, so then I am killing my time. Have I set boundaries, that okay, this is my work area, and here I need to say no to someone if it is too much of a demand from an individual. So let me tell you, productive people, they prioritize in a manner. They, if uh, it is not fitting into their bandwidth, they will say no. If there are for example too many meetings, they will pick and choose and say that I have another meeting which is pre-scheduled, and they will ensure that they are productive for the work they are available. So there are certain practices also which is on part of organization which can help improve employee productivity. So first thing first is hiring the right people, hiring tough and hiring right people, and for the right kind of a role. So organization should not be just filling up the position that, okay, I have a vacant position, let me fill it up as soon as possible and get anybody. Then they suffer actually in the long run. Then second comes ensuring that the organization has got the infrastructure support for the employees, resources available to employees, so that they work peacefully, productively. uh, and then have you provided them right kind of tools, safety equipments, uh, right kind of systems, for example, to the people to work? And have we given them clarity on their role? What are the targets? What is that we expect? There can be expectation which is unwritten, so have we shared those expectation? What kind of review mechanism we have set as an organization, so that employees, they perform and we measure their success, we give them feedback, and we give them regular ongoing constructive feedback. Are we training, coaching, mentoring our people sufficiently? Are we at workplace, are we respecting employees as an individual, in addition to to the jobs they do? Are we lifting up their self-esteem so that they perform better? Are we giving them sufficient technological support? Are we equipping them with the latest technology, latest software which is there, which can make the work easy and productive actually? When it comes to addressing the issues of employee, are we genuinely listening, extending support to the employees? And whenever it comes to say recognize, praise people, are we of course we should not be withholding that praise or recognition, because when you recognize, when you praise, of course this helps building motivation in an individual, and then they perform better. And when you look at your leadership team, are these people are the kind of people who are role model in the organization? And uh, what are the initiatives we are taking under employee engagement, because it matters a lot? And as an organization, as a function, are we adapting to best practices of industry? Are we benchmarking ourselves, or are we the benchmark for industry? Are we deploying some of the good practices in organization, which helps increase the productivity? So there are certain things which individual needs to take care of. There are certain points which I just shared is taken care by the organization. I think I can take up some questions,
Sure, sure,
and
sure.
maybe by 4:05
Yeah,
I
yeah,
can close the
sure, sure.
session, because I
Yeah,
have
yeah.
another
We'll
call as well
sure.
after this.
We'll close it up by 4. Not a problem. So Ramil has raised hand. Ramil, if you can unmute yourself, beta, and you can ask. Ramil, can you hear me?
Sure, ma'am.
Okay, hanji beta.
So, ma'am, I was saying, sorry, sir, sir, what are your views on that social media sites like LinkedIn help us increasing our productivity, or it's just an extra leverage to us?
Okay, so if I understand your question correctly, is LinkedIn a website which can help increase the productivity? Is that your question?
As an HR, maybe you
Yeah,
wanted
sir.
to ask. Yeah.
Yeah, sir. Or it is just a leverage to us?
Sure. You see, all these social media sites, they have a certain purpose. So, using these social media sites for your professional advantage is completely on us. So we should not be, of course, wasting our time just, mindlessly scrolling, through the pages and, wasting time. But if we are clear that, okay, what's my purpose? Am I part of right group? Am I connected with right kind of people? For example, as an HR professional, when I'm hiring, I can always check a candidate's social media profile kind of information. At times there are mismatch between resume and the social media profile. Then one can always read about recommendations which are written for that particular person. You come to know, you get some additional information. So as an HR professional, I'll say that I particularly use LinkedIn for my advantage only. At times, I do not go to so job portals. I source a profile from LinkedIn, which is free for me. So and then if I require some opinion, I can go and post on certain groups, and I can get the answers. And on a one-on-one basis, I can stay in touch with people, so that whenever required in future, I can reach out to them for any help, be it a next employment opportunity. So it's a platform to stay connected, network as well. One can always offer career advice to others, and one can seek also advice from professionals who are there. It gives lots of reading material as well. So one can search using hashtag search on LinkedIn, and then can read relevant topic, relevant subject.
Correct.
Or can be part of some interesting discussion which is going on. So there are advantages, professional advantages, for which these sites can be used.
Correct. We'll take last question, Rahul, and then I would really request you, because there are some students who are from HR and some students from first year will take HR. So just few
Sure.
seconds, if you can tell us about your book. So that's very important, because the students who wanted to opt their career in HR, they should know it. So just last question from Prince. He
Sure.
he just read in the newspaper a few days back of the attrition rate in the IT sector, which has increased from 20 to 25 in the year 2021. So what could be the
Right.
possible reason behind it?
Okay, right. In fact, when I listen to this question and the percentage, when I look at this, reminds me of Great Resignation, which is a topic of discussion, which is there, which is a new term which has come up, and this came from US and Europe basically. And it so happened that during this pandemic time, there were organizations who were downsizing, they were reducing their workforce, and people were insecure as well. That point of time, that okay, if my job is secure, if is my organization not going to lay off me from this place. So let me tell you, there were lots of insecurity also. People were sitting in their job. People were really cautious that okay, they should be getting salary continuously month on month. So all those fear were there. But as the situation improved, the market opened up, and again hiring also picked up, and people who were waiting to make a change, they started moving out. And a scenario which emerged is a Great Resignation. And the IT sector, I should say that is one sector where the attrition is always more when we compare it to say non-IT sector. And IT sector is very attractive in terms of compensation as well, because when I interact with my friends in IT, they say that when we hire people, when we offer a new candidate from another company, the discussion starts with a 70% hike, and the company is very happy to pay just to get the resource. Whereas in typically in a manufacturing or a non-IT sector, the hike will go to say 25-30% kind of a hike, which happens practically.
Correct.
So of course attrition is high in IT sector. One reason is of course people make change just to get their salary corrected. They think that okay, they have more worth, and then the other company also thinks that okay, let me have a resource at any cost, and then people keep on moving from one IT company to another company. But this job hopping actually doesn't help in the long run, and somewhere organizations start looking at candidate with stability, and then it's a challenge for such people who just made changes just to gain monetary hikes. Of course. So to answer your question, this
just for the monetary things.
Right. So I'm just reading his question once again. So, okay, what could be a possible reason behind attrition, and how can it be improved? So, if I'm, hiring for, say, IT company, or if I'm part of, say, IT company, I'll definitely look for resources who are very stable in their previous assignment. And I should not be just filling up my position, but I should be looking at someone who will come in the role and will be growing actually in the organization. So I'll be seeking actually, those kind of candidates only. I can, of course, take help from, consultant who can help me source, these profile. I can showcase to, the new employees or the candidates I'm sourcing that it's a stable organization, what kind of, average tenure we have of current workforce. I can talk about, all positive things about the company so that people stay there.
Correct.
And I should also analyze, what is the pull factor for them when they make a change? Can I offer them something here itself? So it will be always good to lose a resource within the organization. So suppose if I can transfer a resource from, say, one location to another location in the same company in some different function. So it will be always good that if I provide them internal opportunity. So let me tell you a practical example. Like we keep on posting, some of our job requirements internally, so that there are employees. They come up and they apply, and we do not restrict them that you need to take a permission from your manager and then only apply. So employees are free to apply. So it ensures that the person is moving within the organization and not outside the organization. So IT companies also can have such practices if they do not have and if it is a great resignation say phase, it's a great talent attraction phase also, because there are good number of people who are available in the market for me to hire. So as an HR professional, it's a good sign for me that there is a good amount of pool which is available in the market during this great resignation phase. So if attrition is high in another company, I have the opportunity to hire
good
resources.
Correct.
Right.
So Rahul, if you can tell a brief about your book, that's important. And if you have
Sure.
a hard copy, you can show us the.
I do not have it on my desk here.
That I'll do that.
Okay. But thanks a lot for talking about this particular book. It was a dream project for me, let me tell you, and it was part of my hobby actually, which I have been pursuing from my childhood days. So I am a creative person who likes to draw, cartoons, and I always pick up, some funny situation from around only. So for all these years, I was drawing, various cartoons around work situation. And as an HR person, I experienced, so many situations, so many funny conversation, or even if the conversation is serious, I always find out something funny in that. So it's a very creative, funny take on, workplace situation. And it's a workplace humor book, which is there. So something like Dilbert. So if you read cartoons of Dilbert, you will see that it's they have taken up a serious topic and then they have taken out a funny element from it. So my book is a very creative, funny take. It's a colored cartoons book which are all hand drawn, and they are around the work life situation only. So, for example, if an employee, if a candidate, comes to an organization and the interviewer, typically asks like, okay, where do you see yourself after 5 years? So, what can be a funny answer to it? Or if a manager is, doing a performance review and says that, my expectation from you has gone up, the performance bar has gone up. What can be a funny answer or a funny thought in a person's mind? Or if someone is doing a brainstorming with the team, what can be a funny thought in that situation? So I have picked up all those situations, and I have created cartoons which are colorful cartoons, and there are 100 plus cartoons which I have published through this book. And of course there are certain cartoons which I created during my college days. So this book is available on
And the cartoon face belongs to you.
Not really.
Not really, because I can see
Not
few
really.
of them where it didn't Doda Thoda Bhaga Bhaga sa and all that.
Right.
So those
Okay. Right. There
Okay.
are certain cartoons, yeah, which are
Yeah.
which resembles me actually.
Correct.
And so some of the cartoons, of course, I created digitally and then I made it as a part of the book. And I'm so happy to see that you remember some of the cartoons. So, and then there are, various jargons which people use. So there are managers who will say, get into details, get into depth, and then, what can be its interpretation and how people will,
Start
use
digging.
it in real life.
Correct.
So I have picked up all those situations, and it's a very funny, book which I came up with and received very good response. So it's available on Amazon, Flipkart, and Kindle.
Flipkart,
and, yeah. So if any of the students, they need a a personalized copy, I can sign it. I can write a message for you and send it.
Sure, please, if you can see, send few copy to us, because Anjali ma'am was
Sure.
also discussing about the same. I think she has bought it from one of the websites there, maybe from Flipkart or Amazon. So we have bought it actually. Okay, so this is it. Thank you so much, Rahul, for being there with us for the entire 1 hour, and it was an enriching, experience to hear when it comes specifically from the people who are implementing HR, we as in teaching HR, and hope to see you soon in the campus. Personally, physically when you come there to Noida at any point of time, you can visit us. The students are here, we are here. Thank you so much, and hope to see you soon. Thank you. Namaste.
Thank you, Rahul. It was indeed great to listen to you today, right? And I really like the concept which you said. Funny situations need to be there with us to make us alive. So thank you so much, Rahulji. Thank you so much. Yeah.